Hey everyone, Matt here from Dr. Running, and today we're going to do a comparison review, or should I upgrade episode, of the Adidas Supernova Rise 1 versus the Rise 2. Now, when the Rise 1 came out, it was supposed to be Adidas' attempt to organize their line better. The Supernova series was coming out with a trio of well-organized shoes, being the neutral one, a solution, which is stability one, and the Prima, which was going to be the more cushioned one version. Now, and that was great because the non-Adizero line has been a little bit confusing for years. So to finally see this organized was really exciting. And it was supposed to be really cool because the new Dreamstrike midsole was supposed to be PEBA based and responsive. And to be honest, I didn't find it that responsive. I just found it fairly normal, slightly soft, good for training miles, but really not great for much else, but super durable, which was awesome. Got well over 100 miles in these. Now, version 2 actually fixes some of that stuff. It's a refined shoe in many different ways, even though it looks somewhat similar. So the purpose of this review, as always, is to help you figure out, hey, if you're interested in one of these shoes, which one might work better for you? Is going to be the one that's on sale or the newer one, or if you have version 1, should you consider upgrading to version 2? Now, I took specs on my own measurements, so my men's size 10 is what I'm going to give you. So the Supernova Rise version 1 in my size 10 is coming in at 10.3 ounces, or about 292 grams. Version 2 is coming in much lighter at 9.7 ounces, or about 276 grams in my size 10. Stack height measurements, I'm gonna be honest with you that I've gotten measurements all over the place from different sources, but I think it's fairly similar to version 1 coming in at 35 millimeters in the heel, 25 millimeters in the forefoot for a 10 millimeter drop, and version 2 coming in at 36 millimeters in the heel, 26 in the forefoot for a 10 millimeter drop, although to be honest with you, they feel for the most part fairly similar, if slightly lower drop over here. And yes, both these shoes do have the posterior flare, which I've always commented makes them a little bit clunky in the heel. Version 2 is actually better because they've actually lengthened the bevel on the lateral side just a little bit, so it doesn't feel as high of a heel strap and transitions a little bit better. But the other thing that's different is, like I said, version 1 feels like kind of the foam's like meh. Okay, kind of boring, good for training miles. Version 2 seems to have firmed up a little bit and gotten a lot more snappy. I really struggled to get workouts on version 1. Version 2, I've gotten several fartlek workouts. I've taken it on the track, and it's not the fastest shoe. It's not a racing shoe, but the foam is now Dreamstrike Plus, and it's more along lines of what they were talking about. A little more responsive, actually kind of feels almost like that PEBA foam. It's still a training shoe, so it's not the most exciting thing in the market. If you want that, go look at the Adizero line, but it's still much better. It's lighter, it feels faster, it's more along lines of what's being advertised compared to version 1. So if you like a little bit more easygoing and relaxed, version 1's gonna be better. If you want something that has a little more pace versatility and pick up the pace and actually feels a little bit more snappy, go with version 2. And with that, version 1 felt like it had a teeny bit more flexibility. Version 2 actually feels like it has a little bit more. So a little more natural riding in the forefoot, a little more flexibility up front. So if you want a little more flex up there, version 2 is going to be better versus the slightly stiffer and a little bit more easygoing version 1. When we get to stability, they're exactly the same. There aren't, even though they're talking about these bottom-loaded rods, it, again, the slightly narrower sole, the higher heel drop, and again, there is a posterior lateral bevel, but the posterior flare just makes you kind of accelerate immediately. So it's not unstable, but it's not stable either. So it's going to be really good in both these for neutral mechanics, and that doesn't really change that much. The upper, however, changes. Version 1 had a little bit thicker upper, and that gave, to be honest, a teeny bit less room. It's a very, very normal fitting shoe. It's not crazy in any way, but fairly normal fitting with the thickness of the upper and these like little overlays, creating a little less volume and kind of snugging things up a little bit. Whereas version 2 has a slightly thinner upper, and that actually gives a little more flexibility. So a little bit more wiggle room in version 2. So if you have a normal to narrow width foot, version 1 is probably going to be a little better. But if you have a normal width foot and just want a little bit more kind of wiggle room, version 2 is going to be better. So both of them are excellent shoes. Durability, like I mentioned, version 1 is great. Version 2, I'm not seeing anywhere after about 35 miles in my pair. They're really good. If you want to get daily training miles in and just have a shoe that you can kind of slog through miles in, they're both really great options. The key difference is version 2 is going to be a lot more snappy than version 1. If you had that excitement about, oh, this is advertised as a PEBA foam, and you want a little more responsiveness, version 2 is going to be the option. But if you don't want that, and you just want an easy riding shoe that's going to be on sale, version 1 might be the better option. I'm enjoying version 2 a lot more. I'm really happy that Adidas is organizing their non-Adizero line, although I love the Adizero series, just to hopefully help consumers figure out more of what works for them. As always, please comment below. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my sentiments of the differences between these. Are you feeling similar things? Are you feeling different things? Do you feel like it's basically the same shoe? Let me know below, because the whole purpose of this, as always, is to help all of you make better decisions about what you're putting in your feet. And as always, I hope this review helped.